Hi,
Hello,
I'm Julian.
and I am Tom.
We are Team Binge. We are here to talk about Pluribus, Season 1, Episode 8. This one was called Charm Offensive. Tom, as a guy that has gone on the offensive with charm multiple times in his life, how did you feel about Episode 8, the, as we like to call them, pentultimate episodes
So
of
many
this
T's.
TV show?
It's just penultimate. Even though you've done this on every podcast, it's just penultimate. But I enjoyed it. I liked this episode where we got Carol kind of opening up a little bit, and it was interesting to see how she tried to relate to Zojia and actually kind of ask the questions that the initial surviving 12 had kind of told her in the beginning. Like, hey, did you ask them what it's like to be a part of this hive mind? So we get a lot of answers, even though I still have probably plenty of questions. I almost felt like they went maybe too in depth with the answers that they were giving from the hive mind, because I think you can probably just yada yada and I would be fine as an audience member. But excited that they seem to set up this big meeting with Manusos and Carol at the end. But what do you think?
I enjoyed it. I feel like this has just become a slower show in terms of pacing, which it's so well done. I don't find myself going to my phone or anything. So I'm still very much enjoying it. It is a show that takes a bit of patience. It's a slow, it rolls it out slowly. I feel like Manunos, I'm sure I'm saying that completely wrong.
Manusos.
Manusos.
You can call him Manny. Just call him Manny.
I'm going to call him our friend from Panama.
Paraguay.
I've nailed it on all fronts, Tom. Let me land this plane. He needs to calm down. I don't like taking someone hostage with a scalpel that's just saved your life. I know he hates the hive mind, but I took issue with that. He's just very aggressive. And then the other piece is it's watching Carol slowly be broken down. She should have gone to seer school where she learns to evade and be a prisoner, but she's slowly being brought into the hive mind. And I know there are moments in this episode where she kind of snaps out of it, but the rest of it is a slow decline into just being you know what, it's not that bad. And I thought we were gonna get there, but then there's a romance element to this episode that kind of made me think how lonely Carol is, and how ultimately companionship, she was alone for those 40 days and she doesn't want to go back to that. So very interesting just from a human studies perspective of one person holding on to their independence and another person slowly being kind of enveloped, and they're literally being wrapped, their arms being wrapped up in the hive mind. So interesting episode. I find I'm interested to see these two, this ship and this iceberg, run into each other, because I don't think it's going to be friendly.
Yeah, no, I agree. And even taking a step back and thinking of the title of this episode, the Charm Offensive, initially you think the Charm Offensive is all Zojia and the hive mind trying to charm Carol here, but I almost feel like the way this episode ends, Carol had told Zojia, hey, listen, I'm not gonna stop, I'm going to do everything I can to try to save the world. So even though she's putting up this front, she's now living this blissful life with Zojia, I wonder if now this is kind of her charm offensive. Carol's kind of putting on the charm with them to have them drop their guard for her to still try to save the world in some form or fashion. So I don't know.
So you're holding out that Carol is not necessarily buying in, but she is working her way into their good graces so that she can find out more in order to defeat them. This is a long game play for her.
I think so. And I think we get it. And we'll get to it when we get to the scenes, but I think the scene in that diner that we get kind of later kind of stretches it for, or kind of definitively kind of puts for me that that's where her mind is. She's not going to stop trying to save it.
Interesting. Okay. Well, let's dive into it a bit. The opener is in the hospital, which we find out our friend from Paraguay is alive and thriving. He loves the bladed weapon.
He does. I've got some questions early on here. Like they talked about they can't do any of this with consent, but I mean they're operating on Medusos when he was kind of like passed out. Like he never consented to getting these antibiotics, everything else. You could also argue that the hive mind giving him antibiotics is killing the bacteria in his body. So isn't that a form of killing? Like at what level does their like hey, we can't harm anything go? Because antibiotics kill bacteria.
Yeah, I'm sure it's kind of a tiered system. They're like, if we don't do anything, we harm him because he will die. But if we step in a little bit and do the bare minimum and charge him $8,000, then, we'll save him. So, yeah, I don't know.
One life versus, billions of bacteria.
Sure. Man, every time we talk about this show, I realize you're looking for mass extinction unless it's bacteria, apparent, Tom. You're all over the place. I did appreciate they brought back the friendly orderly. I think this is the guy that like pulled up next to him and offered him a bottle of water. He's now like the friendly face.
Yeah.
And so $8,000, I'd have to look at the itemized list, but it felt reasonable to get, life-saving care in Panama.
Yeah. It feels like, it's just more of an ad for universal health care because they're just like trying to tell him, you can just leave. You could just go. But no, if you actually had to pay, it's quite expensive. And it even leaves the IOU plus an ambulance, which is a great. But did you notice that the one lady that was doing the itemized bill or like talking to him actually had some HDP she was drinking?
No, I didn't notice that.
She was holding on to like a cup.
Gross or delicious. I wonder what flavor it is. So we then find out that he is in Panama, so he has made it to the other side of the Darien Gap. So they were, I for a second got confused as I did when I said our friend from Panama. I was like, oh, they just sent him back home? We did that whole episode of his long trek and he's back home. But then someone who's smarter than me that watches the show with me was like, no, he's now on the other side. And I was like, thank you, wife. I appreciate you being smart, sure than me. All right, we go to Carol's house. This was a distinct memory from childhood for me because I don't think these exist anymore. Maybe they have to in a world where only one person is using the grocery store, but she's making juice out of the frozen concentrate. I remember doing that all the time as a kid.
That took me back. I felt like I had like the Donald Duck orange juice that I would just plop into a big vase, put a bunch of...
Plop
vase, that's what they're called, right?
The sound, the plop sound. It's similar to other things. Oh, why did you bring that up?
And then she even asked, I never know if I put in the right amount of water, which is great because you're supposed to, fill the thing up 3 different times. I always just eyeballed it.
Yeah, of course you did. Every pitcher was different. And I just remember sometimes they were frozen so hard that you could not get so you had to bang the cardboard on the edge of the counter to loosen it up. My kids don't know. All my kids' juice is pre-made, other than, I guess, a Propel packet they have to put in water every once in a while. But no free ads, Tom. Anyway, I could talk about frozen juices for a long time. But
it's our other podcast.
So the last episode ended with Carol and Zojia having a lovely moment, and this is a continuation of that lovely moment where these two are entering some sort of domestic bliss. But it starts with Carol being a bit embarrassed that she stole the Georgia O'Keeffe, and she's like, I'm going to return it, probably, maybe.
I'm keeping it safe from animals. She tries to, justify it, and doesn't need to justify it. Zojia doesn't care. Why not use it?
Right, and I'm pretty sure they can often tell when Carol is lying, but... This leads to she's been alone for so long, and she's dealing with the hive mind. She doesn't know what to talk about. And when you don't know at a family gathering what to talk about, especially when there's serious stuff to talk about, what do, Tom? You go to board game time.
Yeah, 100%. I love being a good board game, especially with family. But I love that they go to the cabinet. You can steal different things in there. She even makes mention of Risk, which is kind of comical, the idea of world domination. But there's the general concept that she can't play any sort of strategy game with Zojia because she has whoever's the world champion of Risk is gonna have all the strategy, so she can't really play a game like that. I also do want to call out that Carol had Settlers of Catan in her game cabinet.
She can trade sheep for wheat or whatever that dumb game is.
Catan, one of my favorite board games ever. If you haven't played it, play it.
Yeah, I'll bite my tongue, Tom. I'll let you Spread your Catan love. I guess I thought about it. Yeah, to your point, it's tough. I love she suggests chess, and she's like, no, that would be a terrible idea. What would be your go-to to play against the hive mind, Tom?
I was thinking about it like in my own gaming cabinet, what I have in there, and a game that is just really 98% luck is Yahtzee. So I feel like I'd play Yahtzee with Zoja.
That's fair. That's a good one. I wouldn't play a board game. I'd play that hand slapping game. You know, when you put your hands on top of the other person and you got to slap them. Because they couldn't hurt you, you would just win all the time. And you would just slap Zoja's hands, you know? I'm not familiar with the card game Spit. Have you played this before?
I assumed you would have known about it. I haven't heard of it. Well, I feel like once they started talking about it, I felt like I'd maybe heard of it once or twice, but I thought you were going to regale us with your knowledge.
I appreciate her, and this is a lot of like those family card games. No one knows who started them, where they come from. Everyone calls them like a slightly different name. Tom and I used to play regularly 10-point pitch with our spouses. We had running games. It was probably the best time of our lives, but one day we'll get back to it, Tom, when we're old in the retirement home. You and I will get back to pitch.
Yeah, we just need another pandemic.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's when we played the most of it.
That's fair. I appreciate them standing in the cul-de-sac and Carol being like, oh, so are most of the people back? And if you're paying attention, there's just a line of airplanes coming in through that flight path that I thought was an interesting touch.
Did you notice the drone still chilling in the lamp?
Honestly, I didn't. I'm glad it's still there. I'm glad it's still thriving. One day it'll be fixed. Maybe that's how Carol leaves. She rides away on a drone that she rebuilt.
I feel like you would ask for that to leave. I feel like the wind kind of catches, and you just got the drone banging against the light post.
Yeah, it's one of those wind chimes. It's your drone wind chime that you love. Yeah. What I did not love, Tom, was this arena sleeping arrangement. I got to be honest, this was my nightmare. I would, we don't live in a town that gets hurricanes or floods where you have to go to like humanitarian aid in an arena. But this just seemed absolutely. I couldn't believe Carol chose to stick around. I mean, obviously she has a connection with Zoja, and that's part of this. But I did not want to spend the night with 400 people in an arena.
No, it didn't seem great. I would imagine it would smell great in this place.
Nope.
Since they're all about efficiency. I don't know when the last time these people were taking showers.
Nope.
Yeah. It was
you
a cool
could
look,
walk
though.
around in that arena and be like, hey, hit the showers, and that would make sense because there's locker rooms. But there's also a dog. What were we supposed to pick up from the dog being in the arena visiting
I'm not
Carol?
sure. I mean, we've had animals kind of featured throughout, and we know this whole pandemic essentially starts from a like rat or mouse bite in that lab. But I don't know. And they say like the pet is, or this dog that they feature is a very good boy. But not a part of the hive mind, and I guess takes some sort of like affinity, just like a normal dog would, to a certain owner or member of the hive mind, because we get the guy kind of waving in the background. So I'm not sure what to make of it, but I imagine in the greater scheme of things in this show, animals are going to come into play somehow.
They're definitely eating dogs, right? Because I would think there would be, like, think about how many people that own a dog, and now they're like in this hive mind. I mean, are they raising those dogs still? Is this the situation like in Wedding Crashers when he sends that kitten or puppy, and he doesn't know who's raising it? I don't know. I think it's interesting that we've only seen like one dog. We've seen some wolves and coyotes, but really only
those wolves
one.
and coyotes seem pretty well fed. So
that's fair. Maybe the season 2 of the show is the battle between dogs and wolves. I hope they're all CGI'd, and I hope they talk. So Carol spends the night. Were you surprised by this?
I was. I don't think I was surprised once we saw her spending the night that she had her hand around Zoja. That didn't surprise me as much because I think she's like trying to find this companionship. Because again, like we forget that Zoja is like the spitting image of this perfect character that she wanted to create in her like Wycovia, or what's it called, like Wykaro series.
Sure, Wykaro, yeah.
So like, yeah, it makes sense that she is very attracted to her and finds a kinship with her.
Let me ask you a question, Tom, and I don't want to dig too deep, and maybe this will offend some people, but is Carol just really superficial? Because Zosha doesn't have her own personality. Zosha is hive mind. So Carol's attraction to Zosha is purely physical, and you kind of see it in this episode where she's like asking Zosha about herself, but Zosha can't necessarily, like, her default is not to be the Zosha of the past, although it ripples to the surface at one point, and then you can kind of see Zosha's like brain rejecting it, but she just loves Zosha based on looks, right?
I mean, I think it's a fair assessment because, yes, she would have the exact same conversation with Carol that any other of these members would have. Like, even as Zosha like mentions later, oh, I can bring your cousin here that you haven't seen for X amount of days. And she's like, no, I don't want to talk to my cousin because it's going to be the same conversation as talking to you. So, yeah, I think it has to be superficial on a certain level.
Well, I just want to point out, Tom, that I'm deeper than surface level. I'm a guy that loves the personality and outside beauty. So both are important to me.
60-40,
Yeah, 60-40. All right, let's move on before we get in trouble. The whiteboard's back, Tom. How excited were you for the whiteboard?
Oh, I was so excited. Well, I was less excited later on when there was like 18 more bullet points that I had to write down because that is the thing I have to do on this podcast. Right. But yeah, she seems like she's kind of getting closer to them and then has to remind herself by adding number 6, they eat people.
Right.
And it underlines people a bunch.
Right. And I did skip the part where Zosha drops her off and she like asks Zosha to stay. And I just got the sense that Carol is just so afraid of being alone again and that she is latched on to Zosha. And this is why I don't know that I agree with you that this is a long con or that this is Carol. I do think that, and maybe it could be both, but I just think there's like a way that Carol comes across that after that, like 40 days in the wilderness, she's very ready to have a companion.
Well, it's just so strange because, like, yes, having a companion is one thing, but then when the whole world is still completely empty and void. Like later on, they have this like Truman Show style moment when they go to the diner and everybody's like play acting and there's cars going in the background. Like that is like truly life and living. Just having a companion in a single person, I don't know if it's going to be that fulfilling in the long run.
That's fair. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to have to return my Christmas gift to you, which was just the two of us spending a week together alone in the wilderness. But it doesn't matter. I'll get you a train set or something. Is the horn of a train, is it the loneliest sound in the world, Tom? I thought a tumbleweed rolling across a cow town and that like doo-doo-doo noise going, that wasn't it at all. I wasn't even close on that one. But what's the loneliest sound, Tom, other than a podcaster trying to come up with a funny quip?
Or a podcaster trying to fix their audio before we started recording.
So lonely.
Those are some of the loneliest sounds. Yeah, I don't know. And it was interesting conversation because Carol just assumes Zosha knows of her affinity for train horns, but apparently this is something that Carol has kept to herself, even from Helen. So to kind of have this be like a new nugget of wisdom was kind of interesting. And again, like they're going on this hike and the train kind of being there. They have this weird kind of conversation about the train being for food transportation. And I would argue Zosha kind of hesitates before saying that's what the purpose of a train was. But it seemed odd that they happened to like come upon a train for them to have this conversation. Like maybe it was on purpose from Zosha's standpoint.
Well, I think New Mexico is just mesas and trains, Tom. So I don't think it's uncommon for them to be standing on top of a mesa and then looking at a train. I'm sorry.
Just missing hot air balloons.
Right, exactly. Did you feel that her hesitation when she says the train was like, hey, I don't want to bring up that we humans, or that there was something else on the train? Because they can't lie, right? So...
Yeah, that's a fair point because, yeah, she knows... Carol's like, and I think you'll even see it later on when we look at the boards. He's like, trains transport food, number 9. It's like, ugh. Like, so maybe that's why the hesitation was. But I feel like there's more to Zosha, and I'll get to a potential theory at the end of the episode, but I just feel like Zosha's she's a bit of an enigma in this show.
Right. Well, I think she is physically attractive to Carol, and she is the one that is, as the title of the episode shows, like heading up the charm offensive. And I think there are some wrinkles under the surface that I don't know that she wants to be put in this situation. So, yeah, I'm interested to hear your theories. I don't know anything about your theories because you don't share them to me, because you won't spend a week with me alone in a cabin.
Exactly.
Talk about was this communication thing? And this is a little bit throughout the episode, like when they're getting the massage, it's like, hey, how do you all communicate? It's not verbal. It's just kind of this like unconscious communication through the airwaves.
Yeah, she's like, it's like a electromagnetic or homeostatic communication, like breathing. Like, I didn't really get it. And she even makes mention of Zosha. She's like, oh, there's a lot that we still don't, or that they don't understand yet, which is kind of interesting. And I feel like this is almost like a yada yada kind of thing. Like, I don't need to know this. Like, okay, they're hive mind. They can all have this shared experience. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, when you start to get into the weeds about the actual definitions of it, I think it starts to break down a little bit and is maybe not necessary for me.
Yeah, no, it does break down. It breaks down like that knot in your muscles when you're getting a massage, which is what they do next. And I think Carol almost like pulling at the thread a little bit. I kind of didn't want the show to go into it, because then I started thinking about it, and she's like, so wait, is everyone feeling a massage right now? And then Zosha's like, oh, some guy just got impaled. And I was like, so how do they feel that? And they're doing the math on their 1,600 deaths and 900 births. I was like, well, that's a population in decline, you know? I don't know. I'm glad they touched on it, but I didn't want them to go any deeper because my brain would have started to hurt a little bit.
Yeah, and that's like where I asked that question at the beginning, and my wife did the same thing about like them giving antibiotics because that's killing bacteria, but they can't kill. So it's like, I mean, I don't want to go too far to the weeds. Like at a certain point, like sci-fi just needs to be sci-fi. You just need to like take the world for what it is. If you start getting to every little nitty gritty thing, it kind of loses it a little bit. But I mean, Zosha does say at the end, like, that she is physically enjoying this moment. So again, there are shared feelings, but there also seem to be feelings as an individual, that because she is the person physically there, she experiences it more intensely. Like, I don't know what to make of it. And again, I don't know if I needed all this detail.
Sure. I got to say, the most unsatisfying thing is watching someone else get a massage, because you're like, oh, I would love to have a massage right now. And you're like, I don't know. It felt like the show was rubbing it in my face a little bit, but it's
Literally,
fine.
Yeah.
I do love a good face massage. So then they go stargazing, which I loved when Zosha was like, let's get rid of some of this light pollution, which is just a great like moment. But we get a little bit more world building, which once again, this is not why I'm here for this show. Like, I got to be honest, I kind of forget about the alien portion of all of this. I'm just kind of living in Carol's world, which I enjoy. But it's like, there's aliens out there. We think they come from a giant ocean planet. They talk about this Kepler 22. Like, I guess I understand Carol and Zosha spending time together, but I'm not in this for the world building. Like, if at some point we find Carol on a spaceship traveling somewhere, I'm probably going to be out on the show, Tom.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, when they said it was like an ocean planet, I'm like, is this a Waterworld situation? We got Kevin Costner here.
Sure.
Is this Pandora? Are we in Avatar? Like,
sure.
I don't know. I have a lot of important questions to be asked.
James Cameron's like, I'd like to be more involved in Avatar world. I'm transitioning to TV. Yeah, I don't know. This all finishes with Zosha being like, we love them, we're grateful for them, and then essentially we're going to try and share this gift with other worlds, which I think it freaked me out a little bit, the way she talked about it. Like, there's a very like cult vibe. We have to share their message, which I was not necessarily on board with, and this leads to Carol hitting the whiteboard.
Yeah, I'm 1,000% with you. Like, as they're kind of saying this, just going from world to world and not like having any sort of conversation, is just immediately flipping the switch and then turning everybody. It's kind of wild, and definitely kind of like the classic kind of sci-fi. What if aliens kind of came to the planet? Like, they don't give you any options; they just take over. So interesting conversation. I like that they at least touched on the kind of craziness of it all coming from space. But yes, we jump to Carol. She's been very busy at her whiteboard. So we've got, I think, 6 more bullet points here. So number 7 is communal sleeping. And I don't know if you noticed, but she called it a cuddle puddle. which is how we're going to refer to that from now on.
Cuddle puddle. Why does that make me feel weird? The term cuddle puddle. I don't like that at all, Tom.
It is weird.
It sounds very moist, and no one likes that.
Don't like that word. All right, number 8, communicate via body electric charge. Number 9, trains transport food. 10, individuals feel, but everyone knows. 11, the signal from Kepler 22b. We do find out that it's 640 light years away, so it is far. And then 12.
I thought that was close. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. 12 is the big reveal that they're building a giant antenna and essentially taking all the world's power to be able to send this signal out into space. So that's kind of, I think, we'll call it the motivation of the hive mind. It's not only trying to last as long as they can on this planet, but migrating their hive mind to the next source.
Right. I thought that was the biggest reveal in the episode of because you can spend some time wondering what's Zojia and the Hive's end game. And I guess it's just furthering this algorithm that's going to turn other cultures into a hive mind, which I guess just like consuming and moving on is very much a locus event. So right. I don't know. She does have
weird that they don't have any like connection to the people or whatever was on Kepler 22b, right? Like if there truly are a hive mind, you would imagine they'd have the shared experience of other worlds, but maybe it's isolated to these certain worlds. Like again, there's a lot of questions that you can kind of ask. I don't know if I care to ask all of them, but the show is seemingly asking us to.
Right. She runs out of marker. She lies to Zojia to get more markers by, I guess, telling her that she's writing again, which leads to Zojia being like excited for her, which they're just playing to every author's like motivation that there's an audience out there that wants more words from them. And the people working on the firecracker house are like, "Happy writing, Carol." I found that very creepy. You kind of forget about the people in the background until they all shout at you in unison.
Yeah, agreed. And I was like, it was a funny concept from Zojia, like so excited that she is writing. But I guess is it truly the idea that this hive mind has nothing new to like input and take in terms of because they know all shared knowledge, or is it that they are continuing to distract her? Like, what is she really more excited about?
Oh, they don't care about Vicaro or Ycaro or Y Carol. They're just wanting her to not think about how to destroy them and like. Because they apparently have some sort of vulnerability, and they don't want Carol to find it. So they would love it if she would just accept the fancy dinners and the robot piano playing and some sleepy time with Zojia and some croquette, as we find on a football field. So, Tom, to answer your question, I think this is simply a distraction. I don't think they truly care about the purple sands of avocado or whatever it is. They're playing croquet on a football field, which I don't know. I'd go bocce before I'd go croquet. Between when we're doing lawn games, Tom, I'm going bocce all day.
That's fair.
She brings up, Zojia does, to Carol, what was your best day of writing? And this has all been pre-planned, right? Because they would have built the diner. This is like a leading question to get them to the diner, right?
Yeah, and then Carol kind of comes back. It's like, yeah, that doesn't exist. Like, don't you know what a writer is? And as somebody that's done a little bit of writing in your past, do you have any shared feelings here? Is there any good day for a writer?
Well, I think what we get from Carol is like a writer that is burnt out on what is commercially successful. So she's jaded in this moment. And what I think is interesting in this episode is it brings her back to a time where like the dream of being a writer was all she cared about. And so there was a great joy in doing it. And then eventually it becomes like a slog where you have to finish and connect everything. And so I thought this was an interesting point where you like see how like naturally sad. Like Carol loves the sound of a train because it's the loneliest sound. Like who says that? Like what happy person says that? So I just thought it was interesting that this moment Zojia chooses is like, hey, we're going to take you back to when you still had passion and like had a dream rather than the kind of disgruntled writer that you are. So
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting, but Carol catching on to what they're doing is even more interesting in my mind.
Yeah, because to your point, like she gets the origin story of her becoming a writer, and I think she even mentions like these were the best days, and then I think it's when she clocks, I can't remember what her name was, like Bree or something, the waitress that would always kind of leave her be. It's the same exact person that they flew in, and that kind of like threw her off the handles because she snaps out of it. She's like, hey, this coffee shop not only doesn't exist, it burned down, and like they rebuilt it, and that's where she just kind of storms out and is like, I got to get out of here. And again, like I mentioned earlier, this is a Truman Show moment where everybody just stops what they're doing because they realize like, okay, the jig is up and we don't have to continue to act anymore. And it is just so weird to see like the car stop, the people in the dining room that were just seemingly having conversations all just stop. It's all a lot.
Right. She didn't tip. She didn't pay for the coffee. You know, she just storms out. This all leads to Zojia going back to Carol's home, where Carol is upset and drinking. And this time she doesn't
back.
just... What's that?
She's upset and drinking. She's back.
She's back, yeah. She's not pouring liquor into a glass and then not drinking it. She's legitimately drinking it. And when Zojia shows up, Zojia's like, we don't understand why you didn't love the fake world we built for you. And she starts asking about the waitress, like, hey, she wasn't working in that diner. Where did you guys get her from? And kind of going into like Zojia about, hey, like you guys think this is all like warm and fuzzy, but you have to do a lot of work to create a distraction for me. And I know what you're doing. And she even brings up in this moment, which I thought was interesting, is like, hey, you guys have complained about like food production and you're going to starve out and it's, you know, you've got 10 years. You could fix all this by changing and doing things. And I thought this moment was very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, she calls him out. It's like, yes, this has all been a train wreck, which bringing up train is kind of right on the nose here. And that she again says that someone needs to fix this, even if you all leave me again, saying that it's like unsustainable. And she even tells those, she's like, you know, I'm not going to stop. And she even agrees. So she's like, yes, we know you won't give up. We wish you would, but we know you won't. So to me, this is like, even if they have this kiss that's kind of coming up and they do this time jump where they seem to be in this blissful state, I still don't believe that Carol has fully given up here. I think this episode kind of ends with her deciding, I'm going to create my own distraction by pretending to be in bliss and writing Winds of Recaro and making you think that everything is good to drop their guard, and then for her to still try to help save the day. And I think we'll hopefully get that when Menuso shows up in the next episode.
So what I'm a little bit afraid of, Tom, is you and I have watched a lot of TV. We have watched a lot of TV. We've watched a lot of movies. And typically the solution to any problem is two things. One, guns, which I don't know that this show is going to be the gun-solving show. And the other one, Tom, say it with me, is love.
Grenades.
No. Sorry, that's 2B. A love grenade, as they call it. And so this show to me is like, okay, they kiss, they're romantically involved. Like Carol is like desperate for love and affection, and like you can see it in this moment. Just to have like physical touch, which obviously that stuff is all important to us as humans. But I hope the solution to all of this is not like her getting to know Zojia and like, because we then skip to this like household bliss. They're making breakfast. She's asking about Zojia as a person. I hope the solution to all of this is just like, Carol, you just got to get to know each individual on an individual basis, and love will bring all these humans back from the hive mind. I hope that's not the solution. I would honestly, I hope the solution is a grenade.
I mean, did you not hear that Huey Lewis in the new song? It's the power of love, man. It cures all.
Sure.
But I'm with you, like, and this is why I feel like it's wonky, because they do the 60-day time jump. It's Zojia and Carol, like, having breakfast. Carol has convinced Zojia to essentially speak in the first person now, as opposed to, like, or not in the first person, but speak as an individual instead of constantly saying we. But I mean, it's only been 2 months. Like, is Carol really going to replace Helen with Zojia in 2 months? Even though, yes, there's a lot of crazy circumstances or anything kind of going on, it just doesn't seem plausible to me.
Wait, I think we established, Tom, you have a timeline for if you lost the person you love.
6 months.
Was it 6 months? Okay.
6 months to a year.
I thought it was like 6 hours or something. I thought, I could be wrong. I thought it was less than a day, but someone is going to have to go back and find that in a previous podcast. I think that was, it was Sad Sack Perry, right? From Outer Range? Anyways.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there is also the moment, which I skipped over a little bit, of she wakes up from their night together and she's written the first chapter of a new book. She's made Raban a woman in order to, like, something she was hiding from her viewership. She's now open. Zojia has freed her from that. That's a deep con for that not to be, to write a chapter of a book, to change... the fans are going to be so surprised, Tom. Like, I mean, retcon was even used during this conversation. I don't know. Maybe Carol's just a really good actor, but I felt like this was a turn for Carol, truly and deeply.
Okay. I'm like interested to see how that, like, what happens here in the finale, because like they even go back and forth about discussing like, oh, it's the caverns of Avernon or whatever, like just the different romantic-y silliness to be able to make Raban a woman, which I thought was fun and great banter back and forth.
Right.
But if you look at the finale title for the next episode, it's La Chica o El Mundo. So it's like when Menuso shows up, I guess that's the question. Is Carol going to choose like Zojia or choose the world in terms of what gets saved? I don't know. I don't know what to take of it yet. And I just, from everything we've gotten to Carol thus far, I still think she's team world and not team Zojia and the hive mind.
That's fair. I don't think that the personalities of our friend from Paraguay and Carol are going to... I think they're going to be like mango and ice cream. I think they're going to be completely opposites and not go together at all.
You don't like mango ice cream?
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. It would just never be what I would choose in my Polish neighborhood that Zojia grew up in. Let's talk this out. Like, this moment where Zojia is telling personal stories about the life form that was Zojia, and she's using the eye. She, like, tells a story, and it's very deep. It's like something she hasn't thought about, and you almost feel like real Zojia comes to the surface for a moment. Was that something we were supposed to clock? Was that just like, there was like a break in the hive mind, it felt like, right?
I think so. And like, so here's my theory that I got from, again, one of just fantastic recap videos on YouTube from a guy named Think Story. And he's the one that kind of theorized that like potentially what Carol did in the previous episode might have like changed Zojia or like cured her, if you will. But then hearing kind of this story of her, like her personal hardship in her previous life, like I wonder if it's possible that Carol did change Zojia with whatever she did or the line of questioning, and maybe Zojia as a person, she didn't want to like go back to that life and have to like think about it because it was a rough life. She requested to be changed back. And the only other evidence I'd have for that is like they use a defibrillator, which could have potentially messed up with her electromagnetic connection kind of thing when they had to save Zojia. So I don't know, but I think it's an interesting concept because I do think Zojia either has some form of agency or doesn't seem to have the same like levels of consent and everything else that the other folks within the hive mind does. So that's a potential idea of maybe she did request to get changed back because she didn't want to have to remember her previous life.
When you say change back, she requested not to be free from the hive mind. She requested to stay inside the hive mind. Is that what you're saying?
Well, my thought would be that whatever Carol did in the previous episode, and when everybody left Carol, in that moment, Carol changed Zojia back into a regular person that had agency. And Zojia made the decision and like said, hey, take my stem cells, bring me back. I'd rather, go back into this hive mind bliss than stay what my previous life was. Because obviously we saw her in the original episode, like she didn't seem to be in great conditions and was Like, I mean, I don't know where she lived, but she was like super pretty and dusty, and who knows like what her previous life experiences were, and she maybe is enjoying this hive mind better.
Sure, that's interesting. Okay. This all leads to Zojia having a moment where a storm is coming. It's like, Tom, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Almost Heroes. There's this moment where Chris Farley, they're like tracking someone, and he finds a buffalo patty, and he like reaches down and he grabs it, and I think he like tastes it, and he's like, the herd is like over there. And Matthew Perry's like, you can tell that from the buffalo patty? And he's like, no, I see the herd. It's right over there. Much in that same way, Zojia is like a visitor is coming. And it is our friend from Paraguay. And so, whose back is definitely not infected. He's definitely cured. That machete burn really cured that back of his.
It was incredible. It seemed very isolated, too, just to like the upper left portion of his back, when I would argue that tree seemed to really mess up his entire back. But he seems to be doing okay. There's a little bit of hydrogen peroxide. He'll survive.
Sure.
But
so he's going to join us for the finale. I'm excited for it, Tom.
Yeah, as am I. And like I said, I don't know what they're going to do with bringing them together. Like, these characters are just so polar opposites, and everything that we have seen and experienced with Medusos and his just complete lack of care for anything hive mind related. And now that Carol has established a relationship, I mean, yeah, like universes are going to cross here, and I'm excited to see where it happens. I will say though, like, as a penultimate episode, like there were a couple little nuggets in here, but this didn't like feel like a penultimate episode to me. Like it's setting up Medusos and Carol getting together, but I would have liked maybe a little bit more of a cliffhanger for it. And hopefully we'll get that for the finale. I'm sure we will.
Sure. Well, this show has already been renewed for multiple seasons, or at least is set up for multiple seasons. So I can kind of understand in this world of streaming and Apple having deep pockets that they know people will come back for another season. So I'm excited for the finale. For those of you that have reached out to us, we appreciate it. Barrett, always good to hear from you. For those of you that would like to pose a theory or a question or something for the finale, you can reach us at teambingepodcast@gmail.com. If you would be so kind as to like or write a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, that's always very helpful for us, and we appreciate it. Tom, what did I forget?
Yeah, follow us on the socials at Team Binge or at Team Binge Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, all the big ones. Let us know what you think, because I think there's some shenanigans going on in this show, and I'm sure I'm throwing out some theories that maybe make zero sense. But if there's some stuff we missed, please let us know. Let us know what you think is going to happen in this finale.
Sure, Tom. For Team Binge, I have been Julian,
and Julian, I have been Tom. Goodbye.